Today I'm discussing 10 films that are great when you have some time to sit, reflect, maybe the weather's getting colder, and you really want to absorb yourself in cinema. And this could be great for November, right? If you have any time off from Thanksgiving, or you really want to just take a day where all you do is get lost in a really strong piece of cinema. And so I have a pile here of stuff I've watched with that kind of mindset before, or just good memories from Thanksgiving, different things like that. And I really recommend each of these films. I can think of no film better to start this list off in this spirit than Bela Tarr's Satan Tango. The reason I like this for this list is it is truly worth it as someone who loves movies, who loves cinema, loves visual storytelling. You have to take the 7-8 hours, whatever it takes, 7.5 hours to watch Bela Tarr's Satan Tango. The back, if you get this version, which is, I don't know which version this is. One of my versions of it. I have another one in the Big Curzon collection. One of the greatest achievements in recent art house cinema, in a seminal work of slow cinema. It does have its own sense of pace. Satan Tango follows the members of a humble agricultural community living in a bleak and punishing backwater at the fall of communism. And this film can be really disturbing, really pretty. There are some dance numbers in here that are great. It also says, it's enthralling in his portrayal of a rural Hungary beset by drunken revelry, treachery, and near perpetual rainfall is both transfixing and uncompromising. Justly lauded by critics and audiences as a masterpiece. And it is. It's hard, I really thought when I watched Satan Tango that I would just have to naturally get bored at that length, but I never did. I actually wouldn't have cut anything. And I did a whole video on why I think this is worth your time. And when I was sitting down contemplating on this idea for a video, I was like, this is the perfect time. Like, if you have a day and you just want to get lost in a movie, Satan Tango. Okay, that's the perfect time for that. And I don't think you'll regret it as long as you already like these kind of movies, slow cinema. Love Bela Tarr for that stuff. I'm hoping to put out a Turin Horse video as well. All right, this is another good one that I think works in that vein. If you haven't heard of the Conformist, this is a really good 4K. This was a 4K, right? Yeah, 4K restoration from Kino Lorber, The Conformist, with an awesome cover here. This is one of the enduring masterpieces of the 70s, a breakthrough film. An elegant portrayal of the death throes of Italian fascism and a triumph of pure style. And I really like the conversations and the hush-hush of the fascism in this film. It's so beautiful. So this professor is a leftist activist in exile in Paris. And there is, let's see, without spoiling too much. This character soon becomes entranced by this wife, Anna, and the fascist tenets he once accepted without question began to waver in his mind. That's this plot line. It is a towering accomplishment that for the past 5 decades has enraptured audiences and influenced filmmakers around the world. This has a really heartbreaking scene in the woods, I remember. And I was enthralled by it. I mean, every frame of this is a really pretty, really necessary watch. This is another film that I'm saying, getting absorbed with some time and there's nothing to do outside, The Conformist would be a really good one. Along those lines, if you're like me and you get in this kind of spirit around this time of year where you really just like music, I don't know what it is. I find that the colder it gets, the more I like music, or the more settled I am, the more I like music, if that makes sense. And I remember driving through Yellowstone and really wanting to absorb something greater than myself. And I listened the first time to Mozart, really listened. I mean, a lot of the music, because I knew I was going to watch this particular masterpiece that I've talked about on my channel before, Amadeus. And this is one of the really unique versions of it. This is worth having. I forgot what version you call this, but it has this cool steelbook, the theatrical cut. And basically one composer is jealous of Amadeus's brilliance and tries to sabotage him, and it's funny and witty and charming and absolutely beautiful and stunning and cool to watch. And Amadeus is a classic for the ages. And I think if I'm in that pensive mood, right, this is really a good time for it. It's also something that if you're with family members who you think are artistically minded or literary minded or whatever it is, like music, I think this is like one of the more approachable films that's like longer and forces a little bit more effort from the audience that you could show them. You could do that. Along those lines, sort of, going way back in time, if you want a cool silent film, which I love silent films, I just something about a mild haunt, like not super scary like I sometimes like in October, but just a mild bit unsettling works really well in November for me. And so I really like the idea of watching the original Phantom of the Opera, the Lon Chaney version. This is about, well, there's also the Phantom of the Mall from the same story about this spirit that lives on in this opera. And this one's really creepy and kooky and cool and weird and fun and kind of exciting. I've actually was about to rewatch this, was why I put it in my list. And it is called a forerunner of the American horror film and one of the most lavish spectacles of that era. And it's had all kinds of remakes because a lot of people have seen the version from the 2000s or whatever, but I think that this is so cool. And yeah, you should see Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge. But it holds up really well. And I think, like I said, if you're looking for something along those lines, it's a fun time to watch it. Now, if you want to think of society and danger and being careful where you step and the cold exchange that people could have, a really good film that might be worth a discussion, that might work well if you had a group of people watching a film together who are like-minded in movies. I think a good one, and I think it works well for this time of year, at least in my opinion it does, is L'Argent, the Bresson film. Energetic, enigmatic indictment of capitalism, which is a late masterpiece by Bresson, and it's adapted from a Tolstoy novella. So you could, read the novella, get a cup of coffee, watch the film, that kind of thing. This ordinary man is driven to increasing extremes as a series of thefts and different crimes occur, and it does become fiercely anti-individualistic. And this is really a powerful, beautiful film. Some of the parts toward the end, there's a part toward the end that just has a messed up way of making me think of Thanksgiving. But I don't know, this just, whenever I was looking through my shelf, I was like, I want to watch this again in November specifically. So I thought I'd throw it out there because any chance I can talk about Bresson on my channel, I'm going to. But I'll tell you a Thanksgiving memory of films that's important to me. So years ago, I was working this crummy job and the neighbors would come across the road and they would bring you plates of Thanksgiving food. But I didn't have one that night. I was working on Thanksgiving. I've never forgotten this. I went home and I was deadbeat, exhausted. And I was trying for the first time with a microwave dinner for Thanksgiving to watch Pulp Fiction. And ever since, I have associated Pulp Fiction with Christmas. And the thing about Pulp Fiction is there are all these characters working awkwardly through it. This large cast, this ensemble, and the narrative structure's all off. And people are forced to work together or against each other uncomfortably like a nice Thanksgiving table. This did win the Cannes Film Festival Palme d'Or. And it spins interweaving tales of low-rent hitmen, John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson. Bruce Willis is a prize fighter who tries to run off with some money. But you got people like Harvey Keitel, who is Winston Wolfe, and one of my favorite performances of his. You got Christopher Walken, Tim Roth, and I'll never stop associating this with Thanksgiving. So if anybody else does, let me know, because it's just a fun little movie in that way. And then I was thinking of disaffected groups of people that end up coming together randomly, that life kind of throws them together. This informal kind of chosen family or the randomness that life creates. That kind of thing really is on my mind right now, especially here in November. And I thought of John Ford's underrated Wagon Master for that. Visually spectacular, dramatic, and humorous by an expert. The rivers are wide and rapid, the desert is vast and unforgiving. When the trail turns craggy, men use pickaxes to dig grooves for their wagon wheels. Mother Nature can be overcome, but human nature remains deadly and unpredictable. Outlaws are using the Mormon wagon trained as a hideout from a pursuing posse if you have older folks in your family that are into westerns, and you can show them one that they maybe haven't seen, they may not have seen Wagon Master, but it's a really good John Ford classic, and it does have Ben Johnson from Shane. It has Harry Carey Jr., Ward Bond. It's not, I don't remember John Wayne anywhere in it, but it's cool. It's kind of interesting seeing Ward Bond play a frustrated Mormon. It's really cool, but it's something that, like, if you have older folks in your family who like westerns, or young folks like me that like them, it could be a cool one to show them. And if you want a film that has a lot of people shouting at each other because they drink too much, that's Thanksgiving as it gets, right? Well, how about a Cassavetes film, huh? How about Faces? Cassavetes puts a disintegrating marriage under the microscope in the searing faces. And the film follows the futile attempts of the captain of industry, John Marley, and his wife to escape the anguish of their empty relationship in the arms of others. Gina Rollins is in this as well. I mean, you're never going to go wrong with a Gina Rollins film. But there's a lot of energy of folks interacting and talking and just yelling at each other. Like, come on, somebody has to relate to this for Thanksgiving, right? I mean, somebody has to want to watch a Cassavetes. And again, like Cassavetes, it's a good time to watch a Cassavetes if you have the time. Good time to absorb that. And along the lines of absorbing a difficult, powerful film that takes a lot of effort, it's a good time for David Lynch. And if you really want to, like, buckle up your seatbelt and have your mind tossed around in like a what's a good illustration, like a volleyball, bouncing back and forth. If you want to go through that experience, then watch Inland Empire by David Lynch. His first digitally shot feature creates a vast meditation on the enigma of time, identity, and cinema itself. Laura Dern, great in this. She is like in this production, and it's supposedly haunted, and like there's no great way to describe Inland Empire without just experiencing it. Of the David Lynch, the most ambitious I have seen is Inland Empire. And I like, every time I watch a David Lynch film, I enjoy it. I think, like I said, if one that you really want to sit down to, turn the lights off, lock in, and maybe you have the time to do that, it's cold outside, you got to watch Inland Empire. If anything, I actually regret watching it. I was watching it in summer and I wasn't focused enough for it. So I hope that I can go back and look at this one again. And finally, if you want to feel really hungry and like you can't satisfy your hunger, just watch a zombie movie like 28 Days Later, Why not? Hell, it's the most frightening film since The Exorcist. Danny Boyle's groundbreaking take on a zombie film is great. It still holds up, even at DVD. This DVD looks crummy whenever I play it, and it's still awesome. Cillian Murphy just like walking the streets, not knowing where he is, what he's doing. You run into Brendan Gleeson in this like survival mode. It's fun. It'd be something fun to watch. I just like, it's another one I was like, that makes sense for Thanksgiving. Just get me as hungry as possible, and I'll watch 28 Days Later, and maybe it will stave off my hunger. I don't know. And so what I did for this video is I literally just went by my shelves and thought, what do I want to watch in Thanksgiving? What do I want to watch in November? And this is what I came up with based on memories and just different ideas I had. And like I said, if you have some time to sit down to some movies. So if any of this was helpful to you, if you liked any of these movies or any of this conversation, you want to click the thumbs up button for me. I'd appreciate it. Tell me what you're watching in November, what you're watching lately, and subscribe to Cody in the Cinema.